Like messages in a bottle, words can reach across worlds and tell us stories about other times and places. For an archaeologist, those metaphorical bottles may take the form of coins, inscriptions, or scraps of papyrus. Without such messages, some ancient civilizations would remain unknown, stranded on lost islands in history. Not so long ago, Bactria was one of them, a forgotten Greek kingdom surrounded by a sea of sand in ancient Central Asia. Then it happened. A message from that missing world reached across to modern hands, the hands of a German professor of classical languages in St. Petersburg, Russia. His name was Theophilus Siegfried Bayer, and the message he read, just 3 words long, inspired him to publish this book in 1738, History of the Bactrian Kingdom of the Greeks. It launched a new field of ancient studies. The message was carried on this coin, illustrated by Theophilus Bayer. It's a silver tetradrachma lifted from the dusty soil of Central Asia. On one side it bears the image of a Greek king in military regalia, and on the other the galloping gods he worshipped, the Dioscoroi, the heavenly twins. The 3 words stamped upon it, Basileus Megalou Eucratidou, meaning Great King Eucratides, were tantalizing but terse. They could tell us the name and titles of a fascinating king, but not the full story of his kingdom. It took a great deal of time and effort to accumulate more words from Bactria, most of them inscribed on more and more coins discovered in what is now Afghanistan. Most of these messages amounted simply to King so-and-so, the such and such. For example, King Amyntas the Conqueror. The vocabulary remained fairly limited, but these texts at least told us who the rulers were and what titles they claimed. Many of these coins provided on the back an Indian translation of the Greek inscription, allowing local peoples living south of the Hindu Kush Mountains to read the same 3 words in a native script, either Brahmi or Kharoshthi. This did not expand the message, but it did expand the audience. It also inspired the proud Greek poet Constantine Cavafy to write these lines in 1920. I'll translate. Coins. Coins with Indian inscriptions bear the names of the mightiest monarchs, of Evukratadasa, of Stratasa, of Menindrasa, of Hermayasa. Such is how the wise book renders for us the Indian inscriptions on one side of the coins. But the same book also shows us the other side, the side with the image of the king. And there, oh, how a Greek stops at once, how he is moved to read the names now in his language, Hermias, Eucratides, Strato, and Menander. When Constantine Cavafy died in 1933, not a single scrap of Greek had ever been found in Afghanistan outside the inscriptions on coins. Of these, tens of thousands were known in his day, but not one Greek word etched on stone, inked on papyrus, or painted on pots. This was baffling. How could a mighty and wealthy Greek kingdom leave behind no Greek texts, no prose, no poetry, not even graffiti? It was not until 1946 that a hint of Greek finally appeared, just 5 Greek letters carved onto a piece of broken pot. It read Atros. It was not even a complete word or a name, but it was a welcome step toward more than just numismatic notations. Then, on October the 22nd, 1966, a discovery was made that was pure poetry. It was a Greek metrical text written 22 centuries ago that finally drifted into range of an archaeologist's trowel. It was this stone inscription excavated at Ai Khanum, where it once stood beside a funerary monument near the gateway to a palace. The poem describes how a man named Clearchus went to the shrine of Apollo at Delphi in central Greece, where he copied the 147 Delphic maxims that instructed Greeks how to live. He brought these wise words to Bactria and set them up for the benefit of the Greek colonists who had settled there. I offer here my own verse translation. These wise words of illustrious men, men of long ago, stand today within the shrine of holiest Pytho. There Clearchus copied them down, accuracy's avatar, and inscribed them here at Cineas's tomb, blazing from afar. Only 5 of the 147 rules to live by have survived on this inscription, carved in larger letters seen on the right. I translate them. As a child be well behaved, as a youth be self-controlled, as an adult be just, as an elder be wise, die contented when you are old. Now that's a message written in Greek for Greeks about being Greek in a land far, far from Greece. Greek texts continue to rise from the soil at Ai Khanoum. A few weeks later, archaeologists found this dedication made by 2 Greek brothers to the patron gods of the city's gymnasium. It reads, Tribalus and Strato, the sons of Strato, to Hermes and Heracles. Shattered clay pots in the palace treasury bore messages in ink, detailing the kinds and quantities of coins and other valuables that were stored inside. Olive oil was precious to the Greeks, and the text on one of these jars reads, In year 24 this jar of olive oil, partly empty, holds 1½ measures decanted by Hippias from 2 ceramic vessels, one of those sealed by Molossus, and the other by Strato. Now, could this Strato be the brother or his father who made the dedication in the gymnasium? Also in the treasury was this extraordinary text written on papyrus, but by the time it was discovered by the archaeologists, the papyrus had long since decayed, leaving only the ink behind, impressed into the soil. Not many messages from the ancient past have survived their journey against such odds as this fragile ink from a Greek philosophical treatise. Words stand a better chance on stone, and in recent years some incredible stone inscriptions have surfaced in Central Asia. At Kuliab, about 60 miles northeast of Ai Khanoum, this poetic dedication was set up around 200 BCE by a man named Heliodotus. It calls upon the goddess Hestia to protect the king and his son. My translation reads, For you, esteemed Hestia, Heliodotus has made this perfumed altar in the shade of beautiful trees in Zeus's wood, whereon from time to time he could pour rich libations and sacrifice, in order that he might entice you, dear goddess, in all things to guard the greatest of all kings, Euthydemus, his son as well, Demetrius, who, truth to tell, is already making history, and is christened glorious in victory. With fortune's help may this be done, dear Hestia, the beloved one. This message connects us with the coins of the Bactrian kings. According to Heliodotus, the greatest of them all was Euthydemus, who minted this coin, with a tired but powerful Heracles resting on the reverse. Heliodotus also prayed for that king's son, Demetrius, a youth already glorious in victory. His coins would show himself wearing the scalp of an elephant, reminiscent of Alexander the Great's invasion of India, with a younger standing Heracles on the back in the act of crowning himself victorious. As poetic messages go, I have saved one of the finest ever found for last. In 2002, this inscription came to light in Kandahar, an Afghan city that still bears the name of Alexander in its eastern form, Iskandar. It is a funerary epigram honoring a man named Sophytos, the son of Neratus. These are Indian rather than Greek names, but everything else about this inscription is Greek. It is the autobiography of a self-made merchant who is proud of his Greek education and his local boy makes good business success. This is my verse translation. Beguiled by the fates by one's prosperous clan yielded its wealth to another's hand. So I, Sophytos, Neratus' son, outlined a plan for what should be done. Putting my hopes in the muses of old, honoring Apollo and gathering some gold. Young though I was, I had to believe that if I dared to take my leave of home, then maybe some day hence, some change of fortune would recompense setting off with so much confidence. Out on the road I promised myself not to return without great wealth. Over many years I traveled and traded from city to city, until, elated, now I find myself surrounded at the home my fathers founded, restored to all its former glory, and telling friends my joyous story. Take heed, my sons and grandsons, you ought to remember what I am due. Safeguard this house and my tomb too. Now, have you noticed on the Greek inscription the line of letters running down the left edge? They repeat the first letter from each line of the poem, a clever word play that spells out dia Sophetou tu narratu, meaning by Sophytos, son of Narratus. Of course, I have worked out a translation that does the same thing in English, by Sophytos, son of Narratus. We've come a long way since Theophilus Bayer published that first three-word message from ancient Bactria that read simply, Great King Eucratides. Today all kinds of messages have made their way across the ages to tell us about the past, including the Greek words of an Indian merchant and part-time poet who wanted us to know he came home a great financial success. What a story to find in a metaphorical bottle. I'm Dr. Frank L. Holt, sharing with you another part of my ancient world. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, and I'll see you here next time.